So Skycatch sits at the intersection of drones and big data. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years ago when the industry started to being born, most companies, most people were just focusing on the data, on the drone itself. Quickly, a year later or a year and a half later, people start realizing that they now have visibility that they didn't have before. And the focal point started shifting from the drone to the actual data. And now you see companies, Komatsu, AT&T, you name it, collecting terabytes and terabytes of data and analyzing it.
How do you plan to continue to compete against big companies that could theoretically do the same thing that you do?
Our biggest competition is not necessarily the companies that are trying to do the same thing. Our biggest competition is the industry moving really slow. So I actually have really good relationships with some of the CEOs that are in the same industry. We overlap. And the conversations that we have is we need to help each other, educate the market as quickly as possible, and try to accelerate how quickly they adopt this technology, and rather than fighting with each other.
So what did you learn from your stint in the Navy and from your SEAL training in particular?
I learned a lot actually. I switched completely. I was also a rescue swimmer. I was telling you earlier. A lot of the things I did in the Navy were things that I wasn't planning. I ended up trying out for SEAL training. I was in class 216, but I did it because it was the most challenging thing that there was at the time. And I always wanted to challenge myself. And what I learned is that you can be in cold water for a lot longer than I thought.
And is that a metaphor for where you are today?
Basically.
Did it give you the perseverance you need to be an entrepreneur?
Yes. I think I drew a lot from that. How far you can go, how much you can push yourself. Hell Week is 5 days nonstop. You don't sleep. You're in cold water, 3 o'clock in the morning, sandy, in the verge of getting hypothermia. All these things really shapes your mind.
And would you say that perseverance is the most important quality an entrepreneur needs, or would you pick something else?
I think that one is at the top. Perseverance, not quitting, learning, and staying nimble.
And how do you think about creating sustained growth for Skycatch?
When I think about how do we become sustainable, how do we become a real business, we have to look at the market. How big is the playing field today? Where do we play? Where do we fit with our product in this market? Who demands what we're building? And what's our IP? What are we building that's unique, that will be sustainable over time?
Given all that, how do you find the right people to come and work for you, and how do you get them to stay?
Finding the right people is extremely challenging, and I think it has nothing to do with talent or intelligence or experience, nothing to do with that. It has more to do with, are you willing to be uncomfortable? It's almost like being in SEALs. And in startups, you have to throw things out. If what you're building only tackles a small playing field, you need to go switch it and change it to something else. And that constant switch can really make people uncomfortable. And having those conversations sometimes with some of the people that you bring in, letting them know that's normal. Well, you're actually a normal person. What we're doing is not normal. Has kept us in the process of continuing to bring people in who like to be uncomfortable, who like to experiment, who like to change, pick themselves up again and keep pushing.
Really interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.